Wind River. Wind River is the story of Corey, who's played by Jeremy Renner, and Jane, who's played by Elizabeth Olsen. Corey is a hunter who works on a nearby Native American reservation in Wyoming, and he one day stumbles upon the body of a dead young girl. Jane, an FBI agent, is called to investigate and elicits the help from Corey, who's very familiar with the reservation. And together they have to find out how this girl ended up dead in a cold, wintry wasteland. And we have her movie. Overall, Wind River was an enjoyable movie. The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of meh on it, but overall, I'd give it a thumbs up. The most interesting parts of the film come in the character dynamics between Corey and Jane, whose performances by Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen respectively really carry the movie. Them working together is super interesting, and it almost ends up being a buddy cop movie with only one of them being a cop. Having said that, the main arc of the movie is more of a murder mystery, but it almost feels like a backdrop to the film as a whole. It just wasn't executed that well to where it really got me all that interested. In the middle of it all, we get some surprisingly exciting action scenes where Elizabeth Olsen just steals the show. Starting off with what I really enjoyed about this movie. Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen give stellar performances. The relationship between the two of their characters builds at a natural, steady pace as the film progresses, and both actors do an excellent job at selling the teamwork and relationship between each other as they both grow and evolve, but they also excel in their own rights. The weight that Corey carries from his past ends up fueling a lot of his actions in this movie, and Jeremy Renner brings a certain flavor to that passion that's gentle, yet sincere, and also with a lot of conviction. Conversely, Jane is a character that's challenged often and in new ways, and Elizabeth Olsen sells the unsureness of coping with new adventures, but still having the mental fortitude to overcome those obstacles. And to boot, there are some amazing action scenes in which Olsen's grit really upscales these scenes. She gives the right amount of grit in the perfect moments, and it just really sells it. And speaking of that, Wind River also contains some surprisingly good action. The main arc of the film, like I said, is murder mystery combined with Corey's character analysis. And while action isn't the forefront of the film, it comes across very subtly, not very often, and all in the right moments. And it makes for very effective pacing. And these scenes elevate the stakes for our protagonists quite well, and it shows that they're vulnerable. And that vulnerability adds a sense of intensity that in moments would otherwise just be mundane. And in addition, each of these scenes is made even better by the performances of the actors that are within them. They make it really easy to buy into the fact that their characters are in real danger and that they're in a lot of pain. And if the audience can sense that the character is in fear of their lives, we in turn empathize with that, feel fear for their behalf, and just get super invested into the movie. And subsequently buy into their goals and objectives. How about what did I not like so much about this movie? Their murder mystery elements are just stereotypical and very underwhelming. At the end of the day, murder mystery films make up an entire genre, and not all of them push the envelope in that vein. And that's the case with Wind River, with its murder mystery elements being very not surprising, not intricate, and just not interesting. The movie outlines that there are very few possible killers in this Native American reservation given the geographical circumstances. And given that fact, it adds a sense of realism to the film, which I appreciate, but it doesn't make for very interesting investigation. It just does not take long for our protagonist to narrow down possible suspects, and that just felt really underwhelming, and therefore it takes up a much smaller screen time than it feels like that the movie intended. They sell this idea that this is a murder mystery film, but they only spend a very minimal amount of runtime on said murder mystery. And because of that, the feeling that the murder mystery is more of a backdrop to character development between Corey and Jane becomes more obvious as the movie goes along. You spend a lot more time in private conversations between these characters, and therefore their character development comes to the forefront pretty quickly. And because of that, it doesn't quite feel like the movie knows what it wants to be. So friends, at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give Wind River a 6 out of 10. I thought it was okay. It's definitely worth a watch, especially if you have Netflix. Friends, have you seen Wind River? If so, what'd you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.